we're chatting about this right now because we have an update to this story. So let's refresh anyone who hasn't heard the story yet. You had comic books stolen out of a car that was actually stolen. Your car was stolen, the comics were in the car, and there was like 8 to 10 books. Then you immediately sent out to the ether. We made a freaking podcast about it. You contacted multiple stores. Like, there's not that many comic book stores in the area in our state. So you reached out to as many as you could. You gave them the list. The stores wrote the comic books down. And, you never know. Maybe they'll turn up. We hope. Comic karma, right? We pray to Thor. But this is a segment not about how you got some of them back as a success story, because that's great. And we'll talk about that. This is a segment about how a freaking comic book store failed you. Failed. We're not shouting out any store. We are not sending hate anywhere. We deleted the comment that pointed to the direction of the store. We are going to do right by everybody, but we are definitely going to talk about this because this is real. This happened, and this happened to you, and you need to talk about it, man.
So, like you said, it's super frustrating because I did my part. I called all the shops. I called half-price bookstores and let everybody know these are the comics. I emailed everybody, okay? Those who wanted information and wanted to write it down, I told them so they would write, and they were writing it down, okay? I told everybody that within a 30 to 40-mile radius. Okay?
How many times did you wait, communicating what you need to have communicated to the person on the other end, and then they go, okay, hold on, let me stop and let me write it down? How many?
They all took a moment with me,
right?
Every single one.
Yeah, because if you're like, oh yeah, just tell me, I'm going to remember these 12 comics.
Right.
You're not going to believe them.
Right.
So they took the time, they stopped, they wrote them down because they don't want to buy stolen stuff.
I absolutely asked them if you want me to send you an email, okay? And they said, yes, just send me an email with the list. Great. And if they didn't want an email and they wanted to write it down, I told them what the books were, okay? And there was only one, maybe two people who wanted to just write it down, and really just one. And I took the time to tell him what they are, and he's writing them down. And I was like, okay, great. I did my part. If they show up, they'll show up, because that's what we talked about on the show. It's not easy to move comics. They're going to end up somewhere.
I mean, you heard it right here from Vin Jor-El. I mean, that was the first thing he did. It was put the feelers out, figure out where they were, and he found out in a day. You wanted to do the same thing.
And that's exactly what we did, okay? I let everybody in all the shops know. I let the community know. And it was the community who communicated back to me that my books were at a shop. This shop I spoke to, who was handwriting down the books, okay? I spoke to this person, only to find out that they bought the books. They sold half the books already, okay? And
in under a week's time. Got to move them quick.
Yeah. And so he told me, hey, oh, yeah, those are your books. I called him. I called him. Okay, so someone told me in the comment section, I bought a book, and this book also had 3 other books that were on your list. Okay, is this your book? And I spoke to him.
The person in the community who communicated this.
And I said, oh my God, thank you for letting me know. I will call the shop and verify. I called the shop, and sure enough, I explained them the books here. Hey, did you get some books coming in? Because you and I spoke, and I was like, this was the list. He's like, oh, I guess I didn't write down the list. Okay, well, you asked for the list, and I read it to you. And then I asked, well, do you have surveillance cameras? It's like, no, I don't have surveillance. Well, can you describe who bought? No. So I get so much stuff sold to me, I can't remember everybody. I just can't. Okay, but I remember I bought them super cheap. Sold them for way too cheap too. And I'm just like, I'm holding it all together because I'm just trying to get as much information from this guy as possible.
These people stole your car, man. This is a lot bigger than just the comic books in there.
Exactly. The whole car was taken. I got the car back. But again, like we said, the books are going to end up somewhere. They have to end up somewhere. They're not going to just be held. These guys are just going to try to make money as fast as possible. But I got let down by this comic shop because they didn't do their part. So after I had that conversation and verified, he told me that those were my books. They had the sticker from the comic shop that I bought them from still on there. Okay, he rebagged and boarded them, sold them too cheap, probably just to get them out as fast as possible. And then I confirmed with the person who told me originally that the books were at this shop. And I said, thank you. Please keep that book. I appreciate you letting me know. okay, don't worry about it. I don't care. You keep that book. Thank you for, letting me know.
That's a cool thing to do.
And so then I was like, dude, this guy doesn't have any cameras. He's only got an alarm system. And then the guy writes back to me, hey, man, thank you for letting me keep the book. I hope you can figure it out through the security system or the cameras that are at the store. I was like, what? So I get this guy's information, call him. I was like, are you telling me that there's security cameras at this store? Because I was told there wasn't. He's like, yeah, I believe so. So I go check Google Earth, all right, and get like images of his property so I can like kind of do that 3D walk around. And there's signs on the exterior of his building saying video surveillance. This property is under video surveillance. So I was like, there's video cameras. Why would you not tell me that?
Some shady stuff.
It's some shady stuff. So I call the police and I'm doing all the legwork. Like I feel like the police are just kind of doing their steps because it's just been a process. Okay?
You got your car back. So
yeah, and they have their process and then I'm just like, this is the only thing I have to worry about, right? So I can go like wherever I want, knocking down doors and whatever. So for them, it's just another case and they're going through their steps. So I was supposed to actually meet the police at the comic shop because I was going over there. Okay. I called them and told them I was going to come in about a week and a half to grab the books. And after I heard he had security cameras, I was like, I'm coming the next day. I didn't tell him. I just showed up.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. And I walk in the shop. It's a nice looking shop.
Surprise. Give me my damn books.
Yeah, exactly. All of them. And you just can't remember. Anyways, it's frustrating, man. So I go in there.
It's real. I appreciate you sharing it, man.
Yeah, I go in there. I meet the guy. Like I said, it's a nice looking shop. And I start talking to him. The guy's just a kind of a space cadet. Like I'm chatting to him. He's just kind of all over the place. I haven't told him who I am yet.
What else is he supposed to do? Well, I stole your books.
Well, no, he doesn't know who I am yet. I'm just trying to get a feel for the guy as a normal person.
Oh, okay. This is before he realized who you were.
Oh, yeah. He comes in. He's like, oh, hey, what's up? Hey, how you doing, man? Just 100 miles per hour. And just like, I don't know. That was just him. Okay. I was like, okay, maybe he didn't write it down because he's just that kind of, I don't know, space cadet kind of guy, like I mentioned, just not paying attention, not thinking about it. Like they're not going to show up in my shop. I'm not going to write them down, whatever.
Yeah, unlikely. That can't be the case.
Yeah, and by the end of it, I was like, okay, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, all right? But then afterwards, when I went home and thought about it more and more on all the stuff that, like, he didn't do and all the stuff that he did do, I just kept getting more frustrated and angry about it, and I just couldn't let it go again. And I'm just like, man, this guy really did screw me. And he like screwed the community because he's buying this stuff. And it's clear as day. Like when someone shows up to you with 8 to 10 key books.
With one of them being Golden Age.
One of them being Golden Age. Boop. Yeah, all key books. Price stickers on them from another store.
You see JoJo comics all the time, right?
Yeah.
Just like you're just in Renton, just driving around, hit a local comic shop. Oh, there's a JoJo on the wall. I'll take that.
Yeah, and then like not only that, buy them for super cheap.
So you can sell them for super cheap. Like those aren't red flags to you or something's going on, and not to at least make a mental note of who the person is. He done you wrong, man. He done you wrong. There's no way. We've chatted about this a little bit prior to the mic because we're trying to figure out like how did this happen by mistake? Like give everyone the benefit of the doubt. It's just comic books, but when it comes down to it, we were talking about Pawn Stars earlier on the show, and if this was a pawn shop that accidentally bought something that was stolen and then sold it, the pawn shop is the one responsible. The owner who had the theft is not responsible. It's the people in between who bought the stolen merchandise. They are responsible. That's why there's laws in place to protect pawn shops and the consumers. You have to go by like different rules. You hear about like, you can't sell it for so many days after the fact. It has to be claimed. There's all these reminders. And because there's so many rules, largely across the country, pawn shops can't even operate. And the ones that can, they're heavily, monitored. And there's a lot of rules they got to follow. It's not an easy business. This person essentially is doing a service like a pawn shop would and abandoned all responsibilities. And I'll tell you one thing, if it happened, it happened. You got books back, great. But if it happened one time because he made this mistake, I guarantee it's happened before. And it's probably happened more than once.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure people know this is the guy I can sell to.